Hello and welcome back to Unboxable Kings. It's been 7 weeks since we launched our flagship experience called Unboxing the King Within. It's our highest service that has the intention to help unbox the king that lives inside of you. And 7 weeks ago we put that out into the ether. We promoted that as an offer and we had two applicants, two candidates that joined the coaching. And I want to talk in this video about how they've got on, what's gone well, what hasn't gone so well, what we've remedied, what we've changed, and the results that those guys are seeing, because we've got enough of a sample. 7 weeks is enough to give case studies and share feedback with the intention of enlightening you about what we're trying to achieve and how it's going. So I'm going to split this into two parts, this video. I'm going to talk about the case studies individually, and then I'm going to talk about the collective change that we've made and begin from there. I'm going to use aliases for these case studies because I haven't requested the permission from either of the guys yet to share this. If they want to come forward in the future and claim this case study as it was them, that's fine. But of course, I'm doing that for integrity and anonymity, because if I was going through a coaching program, I wouldn't want my personal alias being broadcast. I just don't like it, so I'm not going to do it to other men. So the first guy we're going to call John. And I first met him when I was working for a past client for my advertising agency. He was an employee of the business that I was working for. And I was there predominantly to make videos and promote and sell certain offers. And as part of that role, I was recording members of staff, getting them to do certain bits on camera and promote certain services and offers. And this guy was there, and he took pretty quickly to the camera work. He seemed to really enjoy it. And I also thought that, like, this guy had an aura, an energy of, like, he must be a creative chap. He's obviously got a lot going for him. Why is he working here on minimum wage? And those thoughts always come in my mind. That's why I do this channel. I am who I am. So I thought that, and I didn't really talk too much on it because that wasn't my role. I was there being paid to do something else, but I always kept that in my mind. And then when I came to release Unboxing the King Within, I thought, I'm going to send it off to that guy, see if it resonates. And he hit me back immediately. He was like, this page I want in, whatever it takes, I'm going to do it. And then just a few days later, he had won a gig. He turned out to be a musician. He'd won a gig with a guy, and I got in on a deal with that guy and created another offer and essentially rolled that into his deposit for the course, because he didn't have the scratch up front, which is it's okay. That happens to some dudes, been there. So we decided that the work that I was going to do for that night, he'd pay me an amount, the deposit would begin, and he'd start the process. So we did that. And he was in a place where he's a really talented guy, and he's achieved a lot in his life. He's only 29 or 28. He's done a lot, but then COVID happened and it really took away a lot of his power, or at least that's how he perceived it. You know, that took away. He was a touring musician, took away his income, took away his ability to do a lot, and he just reverted back to living in a situation he doesn't want to really be in. Obviously, work-wise, he's working at minimum wage at this job that he didn't like, and ultimately his talents were not being leveraged to build a life lived on his own terms. And I thought, well, we could definitely change this. So we had the conversation. We were like, right, what are we going to do to change this? And the first phase of our process is called recalibration. And that's awareness and recalibration. That's essentially where we gain awareness on where an individual is, and then what do we need to change in order to ignite new energy, unbox new energy, because then when you have the new energy, it's a lot easier to create. And he clearly wasn't in that creative energy. So we looked at his diet, made a few small tweaks. He started to take a raw dairy shake in the morning for an increase in protein and fats, and that really helped with his energy levels. He also changed a couple of aspects of his sleep, tidied up his area a little bit, and started to work out, which is something he hadn't done really a lot of. And very quickly, I'm talking like 2 weeks of that regime, he's experiencing significant muscle gain. You know, that creates a positive feedback loop, so his energy is rising. And the recalibration phase went pretty quick. He had a session with me, a couple with Catherine, and before you know it, he's like in this new place, and he's back making music. He's back creating, and he's back playing his guitar all the time. He's feeling good, and he's like, right, where do I channel this now? And this is where the retooling phase comes in, because this is by design, right? You can't use pick up new tools if you don't have the internal energy. That's why you got to recalibrate. But when he did that, he's like, right, what are we going to do? So we gave him new tools, new ways of thinking. And essentially that amalgamated in him coming up with the idea of using his guitar to create a slightly different asset type, not just music, but music specifically for healing, because he's into healing too. This is playing on his interest. He's into water, healing, music. So we got him thinking that way and gave him the tools to think, how can I turn my talents into an asset that I can sell? And off the back of that, he's now creating, and I'm helping him with this because why not? I'm invested in his success, right? So we're helping him produce the assets and the videos for this healing venture. And he's really running with that. He feels good about that. He's got purpose and direction and like a way in his mind to do what he loves, and just what he loves, not have to do a job and then what he loves, you know. That's a big shift because he's starting to see that differently. That's gone really well for this guy. We'll call him John. Did we say we're going to call him John? He's just turning up to life with a new energy. What I realized pretty quick was that he's obviously going to need a way to house this asset and sell it, i.e. digital tools and funnels, websites, etc. So this coincides with the other case study too, but I realized he's going to need that. So what we've done is we've upgraded our offer to include Go High Level, the agency package, which retails for $497. We buy a license and we can resell at any rate that we want. So immediately we can give 50% off, or deals like with John, it's actually free for him for 6 months because of the deal that we have. So he now has access to a $497 platform for free for him to build on, and I'm showing him how to set up the website, how to set up his offer, his funnels, how to drive traffic there, how to send out the emails, all of that retooling, because it's going to, again, this is fresh as well. This is like 2 days ago. Yesterday he started that, and he's like super focused because he's like, oh my God, I can sell this, I can do this, I can click this, and he's taking all this new energy and belief and channel it into something that's going to yield fiat, and it already has. He's already got his first sale, which was pre-approved, I guess. We'd already won it before we needed to collect the money, but we've collected the money, which is great. So that's what the trajectories he's on. And I guess what hasn't gone so well with this guy, I've reflected back on it. Communication on my end was not necessarily the best in the early stages. I kind of sent off a couple of automated things and then it got lost in emails and there wasn't automated follow-up, so we probably lost like 10 days of time just through communication issues, which is something that I've gone away and I've changed. We now have more automation on our fulfillment side so we can stay in touch with our clients easier, and I'm also doing more regular morning texts, just manual. Yo bro, let's have a day. What are you doing today? What's the plan? I'm going to hit you up at 11. These like texts that I'm sending out, it's going really well. It's plus the more formal automation is working really good. So that's kind of where he's at. He feels good. He's got purpose, trajectory, direction, and he's also, as part of just another aspect we're working on, is just some debt relief. He's accumulated some bad debt, so we're just working through that, and he feels good. We've done some mindset work on that. So he's cruising, man. I feel really good, and to be a part of what I'm seeing and seeing him go from where he was working minimum wage to now in a very short amount of time to like an uncapped asset that's highly leveraged in a niche that's super scalable is amazing. I'm fucking buzzing to see where it goes. So that's the first case study. The second case study we're going to call Mark, maybe John too, but we'll call him Mark. He joined the program. I didn't know this guy at all before the promotion. He was just on the email list, and he joined also on a payment plan, and he paid 25% of what the other guy paid as a deposit, and that's an important factor. And the reason I accepted that was because he asked for it, and I believe when you're launching a new offer, sometimes you send the frequency and the energy of where the offer is at, and you have to accept that gratefully and prove the results and all of that. So it was good, and I wanted to take him on. He seemed like a good guy who needed my help, and I knew I could be of service to him. So we got a deal done, and we started, and immediately we had a first session that was really good, got a lot out on the table. I felt significant uplift in him, but then it went dark for about 3 weeks. We had no communication, and this was not on my end because I'd already made the changes from the other guy. This was on his end. He was going through life. He had a move. He had this, that, and the other, and his communication just fell off to the point where I thought, this guy's not coming back, because I've seen that in the past where when you make a small deposit towards something, the minute it gets challenging or difficult, you're just not invested. And this is a change that we're going to make. I'll talk on in a minute. But I thought that's what had happened with him. But I've learned to stay centered and not overthink and not let my ego run wild, not let my mind play tricks on me. And he obviously resurfaced. And not only did he resurface, he came back reignited. It's like sometimes when you plant a seed of belief in a man and a direction and somebody that thinks he can actually get to where he knows he wants to be, the unconscious mind, God force, amalgamates and builds this whole new energy. That's why it's unboxing what's within. It's just taking a bit back. When you let a little bit out, ooh, it can spiral in the positive real fast. And that's what happened to this guy. He came back full of ideas, full of life. He's like, right, I want to hit the ground running with this offer. He started to make immediately more money from a side business that he was doing, but that's just covering his bills for now. But still, not having to work a job, and he's covering his bills with a little side gig business is nice. But front and center, we're now working through his offer. He sent me like a 16-page schematic of what he wants to build and launch, multi-years, multi-stages, and it's really cool to see him thinking that way. And again, the trajectory he's on is like, this is dope. So in light of both that change and the other guy, is that the Go High level resale at 50% market price is like a sick deal, because again, he can just plug straight in. He can copy and paste what's working from me in my agency and in past off. Go High level allows you to basically send your account to somebody else white labeled and they can just use it. It's real high end shit and I love it. So he has access to that now. He's just going through the stages of setting it up, and so that's where they're both at. They're both at the retooling phase, and this is why I'm sharing this with you now, because the tangible results, i.e. I'm not able to do a video right now for these two, and another person I am, but for these two specifically, I can't come on here and be like, John made $4 billion in 3 days, or the income claims, which I want to talk about when it's relevant, but equally sharing other people's income, it will always be anonymous from my end, because I don't need to prove to you that it's real. But I can't do that in this exact moment. You know, they're 7 weeks in, is what it is, but they are now at a point where through the recalibration, the retooling, we're now moving in towards optimization, and the channels are being built. So from here, it just will scale by design, because the seed is growing. That's why my agency is called Grow. I really believe in, look where I am, look where I'm filming this. I fucking believe in nature. Look at the ecosystem, but it takes time, right? And then when it comes up, you have like a little sapling, then a bigger one, and then a bigger one, and it keeps fruiting. And that's what I know is going to happen. It's universal law that they're providing value to the marketplace, and they're on that trajectory. And that's very important, because if you are going to live free in this world, you do need a commercial vehicle, in my opinion. Obviously, you're always backed by the higher power God that's going to look after you. I truly believe that. But in the commercial world, having an entity that is a financial instrument of gain is really good. Opens up a lot of levels to this game. It's nice. And that's where those two guys are now. So they have trajectory, direction, accountability, support, and the tools and systems in order to make that happen. And that is really a nice feedback loop for me, because I'm like, man, that's only been 7 weeks, and I got these guys on longer contracts, and they've actually upgraded their contracts to where we can be partners in their further endeavors. And to see like the first guy, John, go from where he was to now he has a paid client, somebody's paying him again to make music, and he also has the uncapped asset, is so dope. Seeing the other guy, Mark, just thinking like a scalable business and allowing himself to be like, oh my god, I can do this, and then actually doing it. Super dope. Super dope. That's what Unboxing the King does, you know. Oh, come on. So there are the updates. The biggest changes is adding in that Go High level agency plan, super high value, just $500 straight off rip. Plus the ability of what it gives you is just amazing. We've also improved the communication. We've also added in office hours, meaning that the people within the course, yes, they have their one-to-one time, but now they also have office time, meaning an office. The reason we added this in, because I was studying the good book and the word office came up in Romans 12:2, and I was like, what does that mean in this context? And office means service or duty, so I'm like, oh, well, we'll add office hours. I thought that used to be something different. So now, day to day, these guys can drop in, just there's somebody in the office ready to help them, plus their one-to-one time, so that's going to grow things significantly too. And the big wheel just keeps turning. As we get more data, we can improve the service, improve the system. And I'm working a lot on the front end of getting funding for dudes wanting to unbox the king, because having that new energy, be it through lines of credit or mainly lines of credit, but having funding on the front end is so important, because you have more energy to actually grow. It's like fertilizer. And I've got working on that for my own dominion too, but to be able to share that as a process, because I've learned a lot about it. So this offer's only getting better, and I'm just going to keep these check-ins to keep me accountable, to keep this honest and transparent, because doesn't the world need more of that in the men's world? We obviously know that there are lots of dudes out there that want to live a different life to what they're living, be it they do business for themselves or they get a job with an employer that actually is sick and it's like they're an entrepreneur or whatever it is. However their life looks, that's what we're trying to unbox here. And I know that it is already within each man. The exact schematic is going to be different, but I know it's already within, because I feel it within me. I see it within the clients that we have. I see it within clients I've had in the past. So it's like we're just going to keep growing this. And I love doing these videos like this. So if you've appreciated the transparency, if this resonates with you in any way, just follow the instructions below, and you'll have to start applying more now, because this is getting more valuable. And I've switched my energy to know that whilst it does live within every man, the man has to be very willing, the man has to be very committed and very open to invest in more than just financial energy, actual energy, focus, time, sacrifice into making this happen. So we're being a lot more selective now, because that improves our efficacy. I'm willing to just keep turning up here to share with you what's working and fucking send it. You know what I'm saying? All right, much love. Thanks for listening. Stay free and live as the king you were meant to be, and I'll see you next time. Much love. Peace.